Today's mini workshop will be our first annual Unwinding stress-free winter workshop. We're going to do 2 Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons today. One a little more active than the other, both of them extremely effective for reducing stress. And I want to just preface the lessons for a moment to say that I think the best perspective to have on stress is that it's a necessary part of living. It's a necessary, requisite part of being alive in this world. And in fact, our nervous system considers it to be the most important response that we can have because it's life preserving. So the problem is not stress. The problem is stress that is sustained over long periods of time. Sometimes the stress really is sustained externally, but most often it's that you, I, most people are vulnerable to habituating to stress because it does have such a high attractor rating for our nervous system that it's very easy for us to habituate to it and to maintain that state of stress even in the absence of the stressor, the thing that was provoking that response originally. So I hope that in these 2 lessons that we do today, you will gain tools that you can use anytime you wish to change your internal state from one of stress to one of a more, what should we call it, harmonious state or parasympathetic state. So the first lesson will be the little more active lesson. So find yourself a place on the floor, or if you can't lie on the floor, you can certainly lie in your bed. If you can't lie, you can, of course, follow Kim sitting in the chair. And you'll need room to the right and to the left of you. That's right. Now, as you lie there with your legs long, your legs separated about shoulder width apart, just observe the movement of your lower abdomen as you inhale and exhale. I'll try today to give you more than just the tools of awareness through movement, but to give you some what I think are very, very useful cues that you can use with yourself for reducing stress. And just take a moment to feel the contact of yourself with the floor. As always, not changing anything, not correcting yourself, but just observing how you're touching the floor simply and easily in some places and less easily or less clearly in other places. That's all. Now, bring your right arm over your chest to be lying on your chest with your right hand to the left and your palm facing the floor, and just make a very small movement of reaching, not on your shoulder, but in a line with your, that's right, not with your fingers pointed upwards, but just to the left, and then reach a little with your right arm. That's all. Just what's simple. You reach a little across yourself and come back. And do that a couple of times just to feel that that's not so easy. It's not so simple. It feels as if you ought to do something else in order to enable it to be easy. So let's see, go ahead and bend your right knee and stand your right foot. That's right. And just reach a little to the left, only what's easy, that way. So your intention is with this idea of gently, slowly reaching to your left. Yeah, but your arm doesn't lift up towards the ceiling. Your arm stays, that's right, with your chest. Good. Come back, rest a moment. Stretch out your right leg. And now do the same thing. Bring your left arm across the front of your chest. That's it. And just gently reach to the left. No, your left leg is long. Slowly. It's not a matter of, so often one of the, I think, most interesting encounters we have with ourselves in awareness through movement is how we encounter difficulty, how we meet the feeling of difficulty. And I can see already that with so many of you, you feel the difficulty, and so you work harder. You hold your breath, you tighten yourself, you stretch your arm as far as you can go. What I would ask you to do is to meet the feeling of difficulty by stopping, so that we orient ourselves. That's much better. So that we orient ourselves to not trying to overcome that feeling, but focusing on only doing what is simple. And now bend your left knee, stand your left foot. And again, just focusing on that simple idea of what is easy, what is soft. Where do you not feel as if you're stretching or trying to go further, or having an idea that you should be going more to the right? And what I've taken to recently is saying that you're giving up. It's attempting to take on the idea of doing and not doing simultaneously. Good. And come back and just rest a moment. I'm sure that somewhere in some ancient book of wisdom, there's some adage that basically says there is nothing to be overcome. There is nothing to strive toward or against. Now, please bend your right knee again, stand your right foot, and bring your right hand in front of yourself, in front of your chest, and this time with your left hand, take your right wrist. So above your hand, take your right wrist so that your thumb, your left thumb, is underneath your right wrist, as if your thumb were going to take your pulse. And slowly, now use your left hand to pull your right arm to the left. That's right, slowly. So the back of your left hand is facing you. Means if you open your eyes, you could see the back of your right hand and left hand. And then you gently pull so that your right arm is now completely passive. Completely passive, just slowly. And now, as you do that, you have no inclination, no desire to go further. Feel where you can reduce your effort. That's it. Feel where you can do less. And now see if you can exhale. As you do that, your left elbow maybe is in the air. You hold your right arm as maybe some is in front of yourself, not lying on your chest. But that's right. And now make sure that you're not pulling your hand. You're pulling with your left hand, but you're only the fingers of your middle finger and your thumb are above the condyles of your wrist, so that you now, that's right, and you pull with your left hand on your right, you pull your right arm to the left. As you exhale, and as you begin to allow, that's right, you can hold your right arm in front of yourself, away from your chest, in front of yourself. And now see if you can allow your head to turn a little, just a little bit, slowly. So you relax your abdomen. You feel where you can soften your chest. All right, please come back and please rest. And just observe the contact with the floor of the right side of your back compared to the left side of your back. Your right shoulder compared to your left shoulder. the feeling of length of your right leg compared to your left leg. Please bend your left knee, stand your left foot. And now with your right hand, take your left wrist. With your right hand, take your left wrist, and you hold your left arm in front of yourself. It's not lying upon your chest. And that's right, your thumb is underneath. And now very slowly pull with your right hand, pull your left arm to the right. Your left elbow is bent. So you relax your left arm completely. That's better. And your right elbow is bent too, isn't it? And you just do the little bit that feels to you, oh, that's pleasant. And feel where you can relax your jaw, your tongue, and you exhale as you pull, maybe we shouldn't say pull, as you lengthen your left arm ever so slightly to the right. Only what's easy, comfortable. And of course, you begin to feel that spontaneously something interesting happens, which is that your left foot presses against the floor when you lengthen your right arm that little bit, your left arm that little bit to the right. So see if you can feel that even without you doing something intentionally, your left foot is pressing to the floor. Even if you're sitting in a chair, your left foot spontaneously presses. And you exhale as you pull. And just observe internally where you can reduce the effort, where you can do less work. Very good. Please stop. Please rest a moment and stretch out your left leg. Just observe if something's changed in the quality of contact of the left side of yourself with the floor. It's very easy for most of us to get stuck in a state of stress. Maybe some people would call it anxiety. It's the same. But each of us inherently have the capacity to dissolve that stress, that anxiety. Please bend your right knee, stand your right foot, take your right wrist with your left hand, hold your right arm again in front of your chest, not lying upon your chest, and your your left hand is perpendicular to the bones of your right lower arm. That's it. Good. Yeah. Perpendicular means that you're not holding, your fingers are not pointed towards your right shoulder. That's it. But you're grasping your right arm. That's it. And now slowly again begin to lengthen to the left. Lengthen your right arm to the left and feel that pushing against the floor that's happening in your right foot. That's it. And see if you can let your right arm be heavy. In other words, your left hand is doing the work. Your right arm is just completely relaxed. That's it. And feel how the right side of your pelvis begins to lift away from the floor. And again, relax your jaw. Again, your right arm is say 8-10 inches in front of your chest, not lying upon your chest. That's right. Very nice. And allow your head and eyes to turn. And now, as you do that, and of course, you come back and you take a rest between each movement, and feel how your shoulder blade, your right shoulder blade, is sliding away from your spine. See if you can feel that. Your right shoulder blade is sliding. In fact, your right shoulder blade and the right side of your pelvis are moving together. You feel? Of course, our intention begins with our left hand and pulling with our left hand, but it's as if there's something synchronous between the right side of our pelvis and our right shoulder blade. Our right shoulder blade is moving away from the spine. That's it. Beautiful. Rest again for a moment. And just observe how each time we rest, there's a difference to appreciate. It's so reliable. It's not 100% reliable that there'll be a difference, but as long as you pay attention, it is 100%. Pay attention to what? Pay attention to your own sensations. Pay attention to where you feel you can do less. And then the change happens really, really automatically, 100% guaranteed. Please bend your left knee, stand your left foot. Bring your left arm in front of yourself so that you can take your left wrist with your right hand. And now above, so you don't want to pull on your hand, and just slowly begin to take your left arm to the right, slowly, easily, and see if you can feel that lengthening of your arm becomes a little easier if you turn your arm, your wrist, as you pull, not before you pull, not after you pull, But as you're pulling your left arm, you're very slightly turning your left thumb toward the floor. And you'll see that that's it, that if you turn your arm a little bit, you'll feel that your shoulder blade comes much more easily. Slowly, slowly, not quickly. It's not a repetitive movement. You rest completely between each time you come back to the neutral, you rest there. And your knee remains toward the ceiling. And you exhale as you lengthen your left arm now to the right. And allow your hands are perpendicular to the bones of your lower arm. And you make a very slight turning, a very slight, simple turning of your forearm, your left forearm. You use your right hand to turn your wrist as if to direct your thumb to face the floor. Just slowly, and feel how you're, again, that analog between your left shoulder blade and your left hip, that as your left hip rolls to the right, your left shoulder blade slides away from your spine. As you exhale, very nice. Please come back. Just observe the contact of your spine with the floor. The movement of your lower abdomen as you inhale. The movement of your chest as you exhale. Please bend your right knee, stand your right foot. Take your left arm again in front of you. Take your right arm with your left hand. And now slowly, slowly, keep your head in the middle a few times as you lengthen your right arm to the left. Just what's easy, feeling with each movement where you can do less, so that your chest now is turning relative to your head and neck. Your head and eyes stay in the middle, but your pelvis can still turn. That's right. Now, when you feel that your right foot is pressing to the floor, what part of your right foot is pressing to the floor? Is it the front part of your foot, your toes, or is it your right heel? And remember that turning movement, that turning of your wrist as if your thumb was going to face the floor. That's right. There's a few things that happen when you turn your wrist. It helps to straighten your elbow a little bit. Go slowly. I'm not saying you must straighten your elbow, not at all. But you can feel something happens. Go slowly. Now, here's something to feel. Okay, now allow your head to turn and see if somehow something's become a little easier. But now open your eyes and notice, when you pull your right arm to the left, is your right arm going due west, or are you pulling your arm a little up or a little down? Slowly, 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 so that you have the time to feel yourself. We all make a mistake of thinking that it's the movement that's producing the change, but it's not. It's your attention to what you're doing, your attention to yourself. All right, rest for a minute. Just observe the right side of yourself, the right side of your face, your right shoulder, the movement of your lower abdomen. You know probably that when we have stress, our breathing changes. Of course, our breathing always reflects the state of our nervous system, but our breathing changes in a very characteristic way. There's certain things about stress which are individual to me. Of course, it's my stress and not your stress. But there's other aspects of stress that are universal, phylogenetic. And one of those is the way that our breathing changes. We all change our breathing in pretty much the same way, which is that we begin to pull our stomach in when we inhale. So see if you can allow your abdomen to be relaxed when you inhale. And now bend your left knee, stand your left foot, take your left wrist with your right hand, and just slowly, again working with this idea of doing and non-doing at the same time, moving but letting go at the same time. Keep your head and eyes in the middle and pull your left arm to the right. That's it. Slowly. Keep your, that's it. Keep your head and eyes in the middle. That's it. And pull your left arm to the right. That's it. And remember that little turning that happens. And feel where you can soften yourself. Of course, your left foot still pushes against the floor. And your left knee remains pointed towards the ceiling. But you'll find that as you get better at feeling where you can relax your stomach, that even if you keep your head in the middle, that's right, you can still allow yourself to roll that little bit. And now go ahead and let your head and eyes move. Good. And rest again, please. And just observe yourself. Again, you have an opportunity to feel where you can relax your stomach. One more time, please. Bend your right knee. That's it. Take your right wrist with your left hand. And now see if you can turn your head and eyes to the right as you lengthen, as you slowly, gently lengthen your right arm to the left. That's it. Again, it's a question of timing. So you would like to turn your head and eyes to the right at the same time as you pull your right arm to the left. So in other words, not before, not after. And so the movement of your chest turning to the left, of course, becomes a little inhibited. Still, your right arm is relaxed. That's it. And you exhale as you turn. Maybe open your mouth a little bit and feel if you can relax your tongue. That's it. And now again, let your head and eyes, let everything turn to the left, just what's easy. Again, feeling that relationship between the turning of your pelvis and the movement of your right shoulder blade. That's it. Of course, your left elbow comes to the floor. That's right. Good. Switch your legs, switch your arms. Again, just to clarify, the turning of the arm takes your thumb toward the floor, not toward the ceiling, as if to face the floor. And of course, your pinky turns a little bit, your little finger turns a little bit more toward the ceiling. And now turn your head and eyes to the left as you lengthen your left arm to the right. And feel how, if you go slowly and you only do what's easy, the feeling in your chest is something unique and pleasurable. That's it. And your stomach. Maybe you could relax your eyes. Maybe you can relax your left arm, even though we keep saying that your left arm isn't doing anything. Maybe you can relax your left elbow, your left shoulder. So there's two ways of being mindful of that. One is when we rest, and the other is as you move. In other words, using your awareness as you lengthen your left arm to the right and turn your head and eyes to the left. And that is where the advantage of going slowly is, because that gives you the time. And now let your head and eyes turn to the right as you lengthen your left arm to the right. As you, well, now you can feel probably the whole left side of your back is coming away from the floor. That's it. And you take this so slowly that at each moment you can move your attention to a different place in yourself and feel, oh, I can let go there. That's it. As if you're letting that part of yourself go to sleep. All right. Please come back. Please rest. No matter for how long our difficulties have been with us, we each have an enormous built-in inherent capacity for resilience. In other words, for being able to move ourselves away from stress and toward a more neurologically harmonious state. And that is your life-sustaining force. In other words, I believe strongly that our brain is attracted, your brain is attracted to feeling better. Your brain is attracted to feeling better. And of course, you need to know how to move yourself into that state of feeling better and away from that more stressful sympathetic state. Okay, this time, please bend both knees. And bring both arms over your chest with your left arm closer to your chin than your right arm. So your right arm is above your left arm. Your arms are not crossed. It's just that one is above the other. And now slowly, take your time, reach with your right hand to the left. In other words, the same. Now you don't have the help of the other arm pulling you, but go ahead and just lengthen your right arm to the left, slowly, easily. Again, your right arm is under the left arm. One arm is above, one arm is below. That's right. Your arms are relaxed, lying upon your chest. And it's as if you're going to take your right hand to touch the floor to the left of you. That's right. And of course, you can use your right foot to help you. And of course, you can allow your head and eyes to move. You find with almost whenever we introduce a new variation, somehow we begin to stiffen our neck, our head and eyes. That's it. Now, are you feeling that little bit of turning in your right arm? That little bit of turning your thumb in the direction of the floor. That's right. Beautiful. Now, Now change which arm is on top. In other words, bring your right arm to be on top and continue the same idea, reaching with your right arm as if you wanted to touch something on the floor to the left of you. Of course, you probably want to see what you're going to touch. Who knows what's there? And feel where you can soften your chest, your jaw, your shoulders. Very nice. Rest for a moment. Observe the right side of your back. If you bring your attention to your breathing and the movement of your lower abdomen now, would you say that your lower abdomen feels softer somehow than when we started? Bend your knees. Stand both feet about shoulder width apart. And this time, bring your left arm to be lower than your right arm. Cross both arms over your chest. Your right arm isn't going to do anything, is it? Because now you're going to lengthen. You're going to lengthen your left arm to the right, as if you wanted to touch the floor to the right of you. But again, your intention is in where? It's in your left hand. So it's not that the movement begins with your feet or tilting your legs. Your knees stay more or less toward the ceiling. You see, the idea is to feel how to reach and allow your chest to soften and yield. Yield to what? Yield to the reaching of your left arm and left hand, the lengthening of your left arm to the right. That's it. Of course, your head and eyes can turn, but your knees, especially your left knee, remains directly to the ceiling. And you might feel that you help yourself with that little turning of your hand. That's it. And now switch which arm is on top and continue reaching to the right, reaching to your right with your left hand. But of course, it's your whole self. Your chest is turning. Your head and eyes are turning. And you find you can actually, if you like, allow your right knee to go with you toward the floor. Your left knee remains toward the ceiling. But as you reach with your left hand, as if you were going to reach all the way across the floor. That's it. You can allow your right knee, if you like, you don't need to, but if you like, you can let your right knee tilt. Very nice. All right, please stop. Rest for a minute. Again, just observe that movement of your lower abdomen. You see, when your nervous system goes into a more harmonious state, it recognizes right away that this is beneficial. Your blood pressure is reduced, your heart rate is slower, your breathing is better. In fact, I would say that your outlook, your feelings are improved compared to being in a more stressed state. Please bend both knees. Bring both arms over your chest with your left arm on top. That's right. And now slowly, why don't you alternate, reaching with your right hand to the left and sliding your hand on the floor. That's right. The palm of your hand, the palm of your hand. And then you're reaching with your left hand to the right. That's it. That's nice. Slowly, you alternate. When you reach one way, the opposite arm is resting. That's it. And see if you can allow, when you roll to the left, allow your left knee to fall to the floor. And when you roll to the right, allow your right knee to go to the floor. That's it. And your intention is organized from one hand reaching to your other hand reaching. That's it. And allowing your head and eyes to turn. That's it. And helping yourself with, now again, which part of your foot is pressing? Is it your heel or your toes? And you'll find that if you push the floor with your heel more than your toes, it'll be much easier. That's right. And now see if you can inhale as you go through the middle and exhale as you reach to the side. Again, the movement is not organized from your legs. There's intentionality in your hands. Your arm is reaching. It's not just a matter of your chest turning. You feel the difference? If it's just your chest turning, your arms are along for the ride. But our arms and our hands are of course, they're the primary way that we make contact with the world. That's it. Can you turn your head and eyes in the opposite direction? Maybe. That's right. Of course, there's no effort needed in the arms when there's no effort needed, because the other arm is just lying on your chest, isn't it? The arm that's not reaching is just lying on your chest. And you can switch your arms, so the other arm is on top. That's it. And just keep rolling yourself like that. Your feet remain apart. That's better. Good. And now turn your head and eyes with, and think of your mouth being open a little bit. And you reach with one arm, and then you roll through the middle and reach with the other arm. That's it. It's as if you remember earlier when we pulled with the one hand. Well, you can imagine that's still happening. It's as if one arm now, though, is pulling your entire self to the left. And then when you reach with the other arm, it pulls your entire self to the right. Okay. Please stop. And please, again, observe that rising and falling of your lower abdomen. There's many difficulties that we can have in life that are helped tremendously by being able to understand how to regulate ourselves and bring ourselves into a more harmonious state. Many of our difficulties are stress related. Stress creates inflammation. As we said, changes in our breathing, in our digestion even. But now you feel something is very different, isn't it? All right, very slowly, please. Bend your knees, roll to your side, come to sitting, slowly come to standing. And just stand for a moment without doing anything else. And now use that most extraordinary capacity, that of awareness or mindfulness, and see, can you relax your stomach? That's right. Can you relax your shoulders, your jaw? You feel when you relax your abdomen, your breathing changes significantly. All right. Walk around for a few minutes, just observing yourself. We'll take 10 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll do our second lesson. All right. So we'll see you in at a quarter past the hour, wherever you are, a quarter past the hour. Hello. It's a quarter past the hour. Please come back. The next lesson that we're going to do is also the first lesson we did is something that I created, but it's very, very, very inspired by a situation that Dr. Feldenkrais used often. And this, I would say the same for this next lesson. It originates with me, but it owes all the good bits I owe to Dr. Feldenkrais. And I find, maybe it's a matter of getting older, maybe, that I sometimes wake up during the night. Maybe this happens to you too, I don't know. But I wake up in the night and I'm not ready to get up. I haven't slept enough. And I want to go back to sleep. And so what we're going to do, and so I find that that if I don't fall asleep, back to sleep right away, I have certain little awareness through movement lessons that I can rely on, again, almost 100% of the time, to bring me back into slumber, shall we say. And so this is what we're going to do now, is now you know that sleep is parasympathetic, right? Which is why, in fact, people who do have a lot of stress and habituate to stress, they almost invariably have trouble with sleep, right? The adrenaline, which is really what the difficulty is, there's too much adrenaline in the bloodstream, and that keeps the heart going and keeps our alertness networks going. And so when we wake up in that state of stress, it is hard to go back to sleep, or sometimes to fall asleep. So this is what I use myself, although usually it works within a matter of a few minutes, but I'll give you the full version, the complete version. All right. So please lie on your back. And I think you could even make the case, although I've never seen anyone talk about it in this way, which is that when we are in a state of stress, our attention is much more externally oriented. Our attention is much more outside of ourselves. And so even the act of just coming toward myself, even the act of bringing my attention to my internal sensations in itself is an antidote, or the germ of an antidote against that chronic stress. Now, lie on your left side in the following way, and if you need some pillow or something to make yourself comfortable, but otherwise I would rather you, that's right, put your left ear, lengthen your left arm. Your left arm is long, so your left ear can lie on your left arm. That's right. And you draw up your knees so that they're perpendicular to you. That's right. And you stand your right hand on the floor and your right elbow is near to you. That's it. So again, if you can't comfortably bring your left ear to lie on your left arm, then if you want to, you can let your head hang, or you can have a tiny pillow. And now you know that you have a spinal column made up of 7 vertebrae that compose your neck, what's called your cervical spine. You have, some people have 8, but most of us have 7. Then you have 12 thoracic vertebrae, meaning those are the vertebrae that your ribs each attach to behind. And you have 5, again, some people have 6, you have 5 lumbar vertebra. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is trust your imagination and slowly think to yourself that what you would like to do is move your last vertebra in your lower back, that's called your 5th lumbar, to move it backwards a little bit, just the tiniest bit. Again, as you exhale, you move that vertebra backwards a little bit, and then you just let go. So it's a movement that's so small, it's so small that if someone were in the room with you, they wouldn't see anything. But you can feel it internally very clearly that you're moving that one vertebra backwards. And then you move your attention up, what you imagine. Again, we're going to trust your imagination, and you'll find that you can actually do something quite amazing, which is now you move that next vertebra up. Somebody could call it your 4th lumbar, but we are just using our ability to sense and feel ourselves and move that one place in our lower spine backwards. In other words, if your best and most trusted friend were to have a finger on that vertebra, they would feel, oh, you're pressing more into my finger. And then you move your attention up. But again, you want to have your right hand in front of you standing on the floor, otherwise you're twisted. and something different is happening. And it's very simple. You just relax yourself as much as you can with each movement. That's it. Nobody's evaluating what you're doing. In other words, you're doing it perfectly fine, just the way you are. And then you move your attention up to the next point on your lower back, and you move that vertebra backwards. That's it. In other words, you have an organizing idea. In fact, you have an organizing image. And you bring that image and your impulse to move together so that you can actually say to yourself, oh, yeah, I can feel that I'm starting the movement there. And you're completely relying on your internal feeling, your internal sense of yourself. And you feel where you can relax your shoulders, your legs. And then you keep moving. You do one vertebra once or twice, and then you move up to the next point on your spine. Some vertebrae you find are, very easy to feel. And then there's other places in your spine, they're less easy to feel. But that's of no matter to us, because we're meeting our sensory sense, our kinesthetic sense, and our imagination. That's it. Now, if you just do what's easy and move that one vertebra backwards and don't do anything else, don't help yourself in any way, then you'll feel that, in fact, you can feel the echo or the resonance of your intention elsewhere. Something happens in your chin. Your chin moves maybe a little closer or a little further away from your throat. Or you may feel that your eyes actually move down a little bit. Or you may feel that your eyes are looking at that place in the spine internally, but you direct your eyes. You find unconsciously that your eyes are directing themselves toward that place in your back that you're thinking of moving backwards. And then you move up to the next vertebra. And of course, you exhale. Each time you move backwards, move one vertebra backwards. And then you might feel something happens in the back of your neck. That even though you're only thinking of that one vertebra, your whole spine is actually moving in a synergistic way. Moving in sympathy, but not randomly. That there's something about that impulse to move one vertebra backwards that engages your whole entire spine in a sympathetic movement. That's right. Now, slowly, and now, not only am I going to trust your imagination, which I think is very, very good, your internal imagination, your kinesthetic imagination, but now you keep thinking of doing that, finding one place, and you move that vertebra backwards. We'll just work with our our thoracic spine and your lumbar spine. And when you feel like, oh, I've gone all the way up, well, then you can start in the lower part of your spine again. And see if you can feel that each time you do that, your stomach contracts a tiny bit. Not much, but a little bit. And you just feel where you can relax yourself. But it's very clear your stomach gets a little shorter each time you move that vertebra backwards. That's it. And now each time you move one vertebra backwards, think of your chin, the middle of your chin coming down a little bit, as if you were nodding your head down. Oh, and you see, of course, that little nodding of your chin is completely congruent with moving that one vertebra backwards. Okay, please stop. Lie on your back. We'll give it more time in a few minutes. Now, just observe. Of course, this was a completely, what should we say, minor thing we were doing. Can you feel something's different? The whole length of your spine on one side compared to the other. It was so interesting to me when I discovered this. Please lie on now your right side. So your right arm is long. Your right ear is on your right arm. Your right palm is facing the ceiling. That's right. And draw up your knees so your knees are perpendicular to you. That's it. Stand your left hand on the floor, a little bit away from your chest. And now slowly, using your new knowledge, using your new information, go ahead and move your attention to your last vertebra in your lumbar spine and move that one vertebra a little backwards. Just slowly, feeling to yourself, where can I do less? Now, of course, this is asking something very interesting of you, because already the movement itself is so small, and yet we want to even do less work. That's right. And you take that one vertebra backwards as you exhale. And you feel that even though you're thinking, oh, I'm just moving that one vertebra, that tiniest bit backwards, you can feel that it provokes, I think what you could fairly say is a whole gestalt in your chest and your stomach. You think just moving one place backwards, you feel your stomach gets shorter and your breastbone is pulled down a little bit. You feel that? Your breastbone actually shrinks or comes down. your chest gets a little flatter or compresses a little. But that's okay. That's right. And you move your attention up. Again, you're lying on your side rather than being forward or backwards. You're on your side. If you're lying forwards or backwards, it's turning, twisting your spine. So you want to be neutral. And that's why your left hand is standing to help you to feel secure lying on your right side like that as you move one vertebra backwards and then just cease all effort. And of course, that one vertebra returns. That's it. And now bring your attention to your pubis or your pubic bone. In other words, your pubis, where the two halves of your pelvis join together. That's right. And you feel a funny thing, that when you think of moving one vertebra backwards, your pubic bone tilts the tiniest bit toward your head. It's very interesting. And these things are happening. The things that I bring your attention to, they're happening spontaneously, not because we're imposing something on ourselves. Quite the contrary. Slowly. And now begin to look with your eyes downward and let your head tilt a little down. You don't lift your head. It's almost as if the tilting down of your head and chin is part of moving that one vertebra backwards. It's not that you even have to do anything. It's as if the pull or the attraction to tilt your head is already there. You feel that? It's something that's underlying that intention to move one vertebra backwards. It's quite extraordinary. That's right. And now if you think of internally feeling your pubis and then your forehead, you realize that your pubis is coming toward your forehead and your forehead is nodding a little down towards your pubis. That in fact, there's a rounding, a general rounding of yourself that happens even though, and just to be clear, you're still only thinking of moving one vertebra backwards. But of course, this movement of thinking of one vertebra backwards is connected to the deepest and the most primitive parts of ourself. All right. Please stop and please lie on your back. And just observe the feeling of the left side of yourself. Now, the interesting thing is, we weren't saying just move the left side of that vertebra or the right side of that vertebra backwards, were we? No, we're thinking of moving the middle of the vertebra backwards. And yet, we feel the difference on one side. Please lie on your left side, your left arm long, your left ear on your left arm, your left palm toward the ceiling, and your knees drawn up, and your right hand standing on the floor in front of your chest. And now, slowly, move your attention down to, again, that fifth lumbar, or that last vertebra of your lower back. That's right, just your attention. And now slowly think of moving that vertebra a little forward, just that one place, as if there was a button or a dot there, and you could just move it up a little forward, and then let it return, and you rest. So you rest between each movement. Nothing that we do in awareness through movement is asking you to do anything continuously. You just move that one vertebra forward a little, and then let it return, and you rest. And then still you exhale, just slowly. And then you'll see an interesting thing, which is, to state the obvious, that you can't really just move one vertebra by itself. You can have your attention on one vertebra. You can originate your intention from one vertebra. But the moment you think of moving that vertebra forward, something happens in your tailbone. Something happens in your pubic bone, which is quite the opposite of what was happening before. Just slowly. For example, now, when you take that one vertebra forward, your abdomen relaxes. Your abdomen gets a little longer. What does that mean? Of course, the abdomen doesn't get longer or shorter, but the distance from your pubic bone to your breastbone gets a little longer when you think of moving that one vertebra forward. You feel that? Now, something entirely different. What should we call it? The sympathetic movement of your head, using sympathetic in the common way. Can you feel that your head is actually going up a tiny bit, as if you were going to look upwards, as if you were going to look at the sky? Oh, and we'll look at this, we'll unpack this a little more in a moment. Slowly, you work your way up, doing moving each vertebra once or twice, the tiniest, infinitesimally small amount forward. And relax your abdomen as much as you can, and your chest, and your jaw. That's it. Now remember, before, when we took one vertebra backwards, we felt how our chest got smaller and was pulled down a little. Can you feel now when you move one vertebra forward, your chest gets a little wider, a little higher. Something very different happens, even though you're only thinking of one small place on your spine. But because we are so connected, so profoundly connected through our nervous system, through our musculature, through our fascia, through our skeleton, that something quite beautiful happens, and very biological, very in the sense of common to each of us. It's so, we're going at something so primitive. That's right. It has to do with movements that we did before we were even born. Very good. Please line your back and just observe your feeling of your middle. The middle of yourself is different than when we started the lesson. And now, of course, lie on your right side with your right ear on your right arm. And I'd like to say something else about another reason that awareness through movement lessons are such a effective antidote to stress, is that we do the movements slowly. And when we're in a state of stress, a state of anxiety, when we're in a state of stress, quick and fast movements are facilitated, meaning that we're optimized for fast movements. We're optimized for quick movements. And in awareness through movement, by doing the movement slowly, we can change. We can almost immediately change that excitation of those stress systems. All right. And now slowly, lying on your right side, move your attention to the lower part of your back, to where you imagine the last vertebra is, and slowly move that vertebra forward. That's it. And allow your abdomen to relax. And you'll see that the more, if you intentionally contract your abdomen, as half the planet seems to do so, intentionally contract their abdomen, you contract your abdomen and feel what happens to the movement of that vertebra. You see? It's inhibited, isn't it? And now if you relax your stomach, relax your abdomen, you find immediately, oh, now that movement of taking one vertebra forward is so much easier. That's it. Means we are not aware of how we create our own difficulties, but it's not necessary. Once you feel the difference, it's a difference that makes a difference. Once you know the difference and feel it, well, you have choice, and you continue to move your attention upwards, moving one vertebra forward as you exhale, as you reduce your effort. That's it. Feel how your breastbone moves forward and up. It's not just forward. There's an angle to it, isn't there? It's forward and up. Not that you have to do anything. All of these things that I bring your attention to are in the service of simply you noticing, not you doing anything. And if you think, oh, I don't feel what he's saying, I say, don't worry about it. You will in a few minutes. That the more you reduce the effort, the more your ability to make the necessary sensory distinctions will improve. That's it. And now slowly, see if you can feel that movement of your pubis a little bit down and back, and that your chin is coming a little bit up and forward. And feel each time you move a vertebra forward, your chin goes a little forward and up. In other words, away from your throat. And the back of your neck changes. That's it. All right. Please lie on your back. Now, you could say, oh, well, this must be a lesson for the spine. But in fact, no matter where you move your attention, you can feel you're lying on the floor differently. Your shoulders are lying in a more relaxed way. Your lower back, your breathing is different. And feel, is your lower abdomen expanding more simply and easily compared to when we started the first lesson? Mine is. All right, please lie on your left side with your left ear on your left arm, your left palm to the ceiling. That's it. Your knees drawn up. And now, slowly, see if you can combine these two movements. Means that you take that one vertebra forward and back, and forward and back. And the whole time your stomach is relaxed. That's right. And your jaw. And then you move your attention up a little bit and you take that one vertebra forward and back. And you go forward and back. You rest, you go forward and back, and then you rest, and then you go forward and back. And relax your neck and your jaw. And now, as you move that one vertebra forward, tilt your chin a little bit up. And as you take that one vertebra backwards, nod your head down a little. And then you take one vertebra forward, and you see, you can look up with your eyes easily. That's right. And when you take the one vertebra backwards, feel it? You can look down with your eyes easily. You feel that? And this connection between this, what should we call it, fundamental or primitive movement of our spine, basic movement of our spine, and our eyes is a connection that's there all the time. And so you find that if you think of taking your eyes down when you move one vertebra forward, it has an entirely different feeling, doesn't it? It's crazy. Just from the point of view of your eyes. Of course, our eyes need to be able to move right, left, and up and down, no matter what is happening, no matter how we're moving, no matter our orientation in space. But our eyes did evolve along with our whole self in a particular physiological, biological milieu. Feel that. You take your eyes up as you take a vertebra forward, and you take your eyes down as you move a vertebra backwards. Has a certain quality. And then you take that vertebra forward and your eyes down, and you suddenly realize, oh my God, the movement of that one place in my spine has become restricted. Well, that's crazy. Is it possible that's happening in vivo, meaning when I'm sitting, when I'm walking, when I'm standing, when I'm... Yes, of course. And now think of tilting your head backwards a tiny bit when you move a vertebra forward, and think of tilting your head down as you move a vertebra backwards. So your neck arches, the back of your neck, I should say, arches when you move a vertebra forward. That's it. Now, truth be known, I never get this far in the lesson when I awake at night. That's it. Good. Let's lie on our back for a moment. Just observe the left side of yourself compared to the right side of yourself. The movement of your lower abdomen as you inhale. In your imagination, in your internal kinesthetic sense, feel how far away your pubic bone is. Feel how far away your pubis is from your sternum, your breastbone. And lie on your left side. That's right. And now, slowly, slowly draw up your knees, and your left ear is lying on your left arm, your left palm facing the ceiling, and do the same thing. Move your attention down to your last vertebra and move it forward, forward, and back, and forward and back. Slowly. And you go forward and you go back, and then you rest a little, and then forward and back, and you rest a little, and you find the more you can relax your abdomen and your jaw, the more the movement of your spine becomes available. And that's because your abdomen and your jaw are fundamental parts of that stress arc, that constellation of, again, biological things that happen when we feel stress, when we feel anxious. When we feel anxious, our jaw clenches, not just you, not just me, everybody. In fact, I would say every mammal. The hands get tight, the stomach contracts, and here you find, I'm letting go, and suddenly my spine is moving so nicely, so easily, and I can feel my head lifts a little when I take that vertebra forward, and my head tilts down a little when I move it backwards. And I can feel that my tailbone sticks back when I take the vertebra forward. And feel that? That's extraordinary. It's as if the whole thing is interconnected. It is. And that the movement in one place in my spine is completely dependent on the entire spine. Beautiful. And please lie on your back and just sense, feel. Now the right side of yourself. Of course, you don't need to only use this lesson or the first lesson when you feel that stress or anxiety. You can use them anytime. And I would go so far as to say that this lesson that we're doing right now has a very profound reorganizing effect. In other words, the effect is general. Okay, please lie on your right side with your right ear on your right arm, your right palm facing the ceiling. And now, slowly, very slowly, begin to make a very small movement of opening your right hand a little bit and closing your right hand, but not really closing your right hand and not really opening your right hand, but just a tiny bit so that you feel that there's a very slow movement, like those those videos I'm sure you've seen of a flower opening and then closing. Those flowers that open and close with the rising and falling of the sun. So extraordinary. They open themselves to the sun, and then in the late afternoon, they begin to close. And so very slowly you open your hand a little without stretching your fingers, without any sense of opening. And then you close your right hand without any sense of closing it. But your fingers do come closer to each other, not to make a fist, but to come toward each other. And now as you do that, resume your contact with your lumbar spine, the lower spine of your lower back. Find that lowest vertebra and begin to move that vertebra forward and back and forward and back. And you find, without interrupting, that slow, simple movement of your right hand. And the right hand is always just soft. That's right. And your right hand doesn't close. It is as if it's the beginning of closing and the beginning of opening. And then you find, that there's actually a connection between the closing of your hand and the movement of your spine, and between the opening of your right hand and the movement of your spine. And you feel that there's one way of synchronizing those movements that makes it a little easier. Just what's easy. That's it. And you look down when you move your vertebra backwards. And then you look up and lift your chin when you move your vertebra forward. That's it. And from the point of view of your breastbone is going forward and up and then down and back. You feel that? And that's it. And your pubis is moving down and back and forward and up. And the movement of your hand is continuous and soft. And so you're moving around that softness of your hand, around that lightness of your right hand. Good. Please lie on your back. Lie on your left side. Is that right? Yes, on your left side. And your left arm is long and your knees are drawn up. And that's it. Your left ear on your left arm, your left palm facing the ceiling. And now start doing that little opening movement and closing movement. Make it small, simple. For most of you, you feel the back of your hand doesn't really touch the floor. It doesn't matter. Slowly, slowly. That's it. And now begin to find a vertebra where you want to begin. I begin with my lower back, but maybe you want to begin somewhere else. Maybe it doesn't even matter, because now you're using so little. It's almost just your intention to move that vertebra forward is enough, and the intention to move that vertebra backwards. That's it. And you let that lightness and that softness in your left hand generalize to your back, your stomach, your chest, your legs. And you allow your head to look up, and the back of your head to go backwards a little bit. And then when you move your spine backwards, your vertebra backwards, you bring your head down a little, as if you wanted to look at something downwards. That's it. And the movement of your hand is independent of the movement of your spine. Maybe you do 2 or 3 movements of your hand relative to your spine, or you make it so one is moving slowly and one is moving a little less slowly. Or you can synchronize them, but I suggest that'll be interesting to have them not synchronized. And your breathing is easy, and you find when you move that vertebra forward, you think of your pubic bone going down and back. Of course, it also moves your tailbone backwards, doesn't it? Your tailbone is actually getting longer and moving back. Your tailbone is moving away from the top of your head, and the top of your head is moving away from your tailbone. That's right. Your chin is coming up when your pubic bone is going down. And that's what gives you're getting longer in front when you take the back of your head back. Or you could think of your anus goes backwards. You can't help it. If you try to stop that movement of your sacrum, your tailbone, it constricts the movement of your entire spine, your entire self. This is a very important insight. It's never just, oh, I'm doing something with my shoulder, or I'm doing something with my foot or my leg. A change that's general will help everything, all of you. All right, please lie on your back. Again, feel that distance the length from your pubic bone to your breastbone, and the contact with the floor of your shoulder blades, how your lower abdomen fills as you inhale. And then you feel something interesting, that when you inhale, your pubic bone is making that same movement. When you inhale, your pubic bone is going a little bit down and back. How extraordinary. So we'll stop in a moment, but I would just like to say before you get up how much I've enjoyed being with you for this entire year, and working online like this, I find endlessly interesting, and I love the idea of bringing the Feldenkrais method and Dr. Feldenkrais's ideas and my, how shall we say, my handwriting, my interpretation of his extraordinary work forward. And I look forward to seeing you next year. And thank you again to everybody who's been helping us. And please roll to your side, and you can come to sitting slowly and to standing. And just observe. Was this a lesson primarily for reducing stress and relaxing our nervous system? Or can you feel something is completely different about the organization of your back? You feel that? Your back, your chest. How can it be that such small, I'll even say it, insignificant movements could have such a profound general effect? All right. Thank you very much, and have a happy holiday and a happy New Year's, and we'll see you soon.